Okay, are we waiting? Are we waiting for somebody else? Let's see, what was the issue here?
Yeah, so I'm not waiting for anybody else. I'm not sure if everybody else is, but
Okay.
my name's Dan Willcox. I don't know if you have the documents that I shared with the admin there. Basically, a new construction home on the west side of town here. This is the first time I've owned a house in Bonneville County. I was the general contractor on it. And first of all, I appreciate everybody's time. This should be fairly quick. Essentially, I got my initial tax notice, tax statement. It was on the value of land. It was obviously June. And then personally didn't realize that the supplemental tax statement would be arriving at the end of the year. And so essentially was notified that to apply for the homeowner's exemption for the 2020 tax year for the value of my home, that needed to be submitted by January 22nd. I have submitted that by February 24th when I asked the assessor's office if it could be applied to the 2020 valuation. They indicated that the commissioners were the only ones that could allow that extension. So again, all I'm looking for today is to see if the homeowner's exemption that I qualify for can be applied to the 2020 tax year.
Let me make sure we understand. I'm getting an echo someplace. Basically, the deadline was January 31st, 22nd.
22nd, that's correct.
You signed the application on February
24th.
Okay. It's more than a technicality is the law. And yes, if there's an error on the county's part, we have the flexibility to undo those, but not if it's not a timely application.
So the January 22nd deadline is a state law.
On that one, I think it is for the year. We could double check on that one. What was it, for a partial year?
It was a prorated year, yeah, about 9 months.
Who did you speak to over there?
So I first initially called and they told me that, and this is why I sort of followed it up. They said on a prorated year, you can't have the homeowner's exemption, which
that's what I wondered. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not correct. When I went in and I talked, I don't know the name of the gal, but she's like, no. So prorated is just because you haven't lived in the house for the full year.
Right.
It has nothing to do with being eligible or ineligible for the homeowner's exemption. And so and I'm not sure if the secretary has this, but I got a letter from the county assessor's office that said I was eligible for the 2020 tax year on the prorated amount, but it had to be in by January 22nd. So this letter is dated December 23rd, and the address that it was sent to was not my address. It wasn't returned to sender, but it was forwarded because we had moved from that address. We're now in our new home. And so that took a little bit extra time to get to me. But yeah, that's the deadline that I haven't, that I'm late on and am requesting allowance for going in. Because really what triggered it is when I got this supplemental tax statement, which I was not anticipating because I had already received my tax statement in June. And again, part of this is my ignorance or being naive about the process. I didn't realize they were going to send me another one. So I wasn't terribly concerned about the homeowner exemption for 2020 because I was only paying $400 on the land value. But when they gave me my supplemental and it included my home, or at least the prorated value of my home, then that's a considerable larger amount of money at the $2,500. And so I received a supplemental, the day before, on February 23rd, the day before I went in and filed or applied for the homeowner's exemption.
So, Mr. Chairman, can I clarify to you, because I'm just reading here the statute. And so it is where we're getting the January 22nd date is it says the assessor shall notify the owner of the right to apply for the exemption provided in section 63-602 if the owner applies for and meets requirements for such exemption within 30 days of the notification. And so they notified him on December 23rd. And then that's why they made the requirement and they put it on the application. They told him that he would have to respond back within 30 days or before January 22nd. So it's not a date fixed by statute, but it's a time frame fixed by statute.
And if I could add one thing to that, December 23rd, obviously it's the end of the year. That's the date the letter was sent out. That's not the date that I received it. It's over a holiday season there, with some of those days not being delivered. So in addition to that, that was sent to a previous address and then was only forwarded to me subsequent to that. So I recognize the 23rd is probably when it left the assessor's office, but that's certainly not when I received it.
When did you receive it?
I don't know for sure. Again, I went back through my paperwork. What really was the red flag was that this supplemental showed up at my house, and I realized I needed to pay, according to this, $2,500 extra of taxes. And then when I went through this tax statement is when I noticed the homeowner's exemption was not included on there. And so that's when I started pulling the string a little bit more detailed to figure out how I got here.
Let's go back to the when they sent you the letter out. I can't find the documents, but I think Brian's got them there. They sent the letter out on the 23rd of December. Did you receive that? Not the one with the value and the tax bill, but the one that said you had to sign up for the homeowner's exemption. Yeah,
that's the one I'm talking about. That I do have that. When the actual date I received it is, I don't have that date.
Yeah, because even forwarding it probably wouldn't take 30 days. That's the concern.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
Mr. Willcox, this is Commissioner Walker. Where did the assessor's office get the address that they mailed this to? Was that the address on correspondence you had with them or the application that you had on file with them?
Mostly it was the previous address. Most likely that's the address where I applied for the building permit from. Is the address of record from that process.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be helpful to have had somebody from the assessor's office on here.
Do you want me to call them and tell them to get on?
Or we can do a little bit of research, visit with them, and get back to them. Because we just need to make sure it's not an error on our part.
And I, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think it's an error on the assessor's part, or anybody's. Mostly it's my ignorance of not realizing that the supplemental was going to come. I didn't get a letter with my initial tax statement that says look out for a supplemental. It's a partial value, not a supplemental, but
And I'm familiar with that because I got one of those that I didn't appeal on a townhome that we built, and I thought, oh, this is great. And then when they sent the full value, I had missed my chance to appeal. And I deal with this all the time. That's been about 10 years ago. See, it's a complicated issue on that.
Yes, and Mr. Chairman, this is not what I do. I built
I know.
my first and last home here, but and that's why it's sort of a little bit of a headache to general it and navigate all of the regulations. And again, I don't. That's why I say I did miss a deadline, and I don't believe it was due to the county's, oversight or misstep at all. It mostly just due to my unfamiliarity with the process. But I'm not asking for a waiver of whether I'm eligible for it. It's simply just an extension of that filing deadline.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask another question. Mr. Willcox, I too got a certificate of occupancy. I think I got mine in July. And shortly after that, I received a letter from the assessor's office with information about it's actually a separate exemption for the first not full year that you own a home, which is what the cover letter here explains to you. It's similar to, but anyway, I got a letter from them. I'd like to check with the assessor's office and see if that was an auto-generated letter, if that goes out to everybody. If it did, it may have gone out to the wrong address again because it went out to the address they had on file for your certificate of occupancy.
And I appreciate that. That's why I say if we have a little bit of time to go research it. Carolee was trying to call in, but on a cell phone, it's hard. So could you give us, a day or two to kind of do some research on this? So we want to make sure we have all the facts before we tell you no, because if no's the wrong answer, we just soon not tell you,
Yeah, absolutely. I would appreciate that. And my thinking as I unfold the process, again, what may make it a little bit more helpful is if this were part of the closing process at all, and I don't know how feasible that is, it's a whole lot more apparent. And I've only owned one other home in Idaho. It was in Bingham County. And I don't recall ever applying for the homeowner exemption unless it was part of our closing Now that was an existing home, so it's maybe a little bit different process than new construction.
That's up to your title company. It's not that unusual for them to make a mistake either, but we can't do the work for them.
Right.
Let us take a look at that because I think Commissioner Walker's got a valid thing to look at. So that we can see if that was sent out and which address, where there was a change of address. So, okay.
Okay, that'd be great. And I'll just, I guess, wait for notification from the officer.
Yeah. Do we have a phone number, Kayla, for him?
Is it the 208-403-1752?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.